Yes, I saw a whole gang of them going into the house. Party hats and whistles. One of them was holding on to a bottle of vodka, and I believe her boyfriend, although I don't like to assume such things, was carrying a box of beer. I think it was Miller. Not sure. Now, what I do know is that it's wee Eva's birthday. That's the daughter. She lives in the house with her ma, who I did see smoking a fag out the front earlier this morning. So what can you do? Yes, trust me, I saw the delivery bag at the front door, and let me tell you this. It wasn't just one wee korma and keema in that bag. There is an entire Indian feast going on in that house right now. Your one was all dressed up at the front door too, and here, who makes an effort to answer the front door? I'm shocked. Literally shocked. I was standing in the queue, patiently waiting for your one at the counter to hurry up and stop sneezing and coughing. I don't know if she ever got the memo about her to wear a mask, because hers was hanging off her lip and her nose was red with the incessant continuous blowing. He's literally just back home. He went out for a run around 11 and it's now 1:30 because doctors is on the telly. 1 hour. 1 hour is the rule. Arrest him. Hi, he's a man. It's me again, Derek Sloan. Sure, Happy's on speed dial. She pulled up around 5 minutes ago. I don't recognise him at all. They got out of the car and ran into the house. It's obviously not a member of the same household. Oh Jesus, they just pulled the curtains.
Sorry, do you just want a cuppa? It's vegan. It's vegan green tea, very, very good for you. Cures all ills. My ex Sebi brought it back from the mountains of Bangladesh 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, you'd love Sebi. One of those woke guys, all about the yoga and free love and finding the inner light and map to the angels. Between us, though, he's got major trust issues and is completely shocking in a relationship. A real Klingon, do you know what I mean? I couldn't fart in private, do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, enough about Sebi. For all his breakups, at least he didn't try and frame me as a criminal. And that's why I'm here today. To clear my name. Because I am not a criminal. What happened a few weeks ago was the desperate act of another one of my exes to bring me down to his rotten level of existence. Scum. Can I say his name?
No.
Okay, why not?
Legal reasons.
It's always the way, isn't it? He who shall remain anonymous, because that's how the law works, expose the victim and keep the perpetrator free to roam the streets and carry on with their lives. Sorry. As you can see, this has affected me greatly. I've been through so much recently. Suffering in silence. And I am suffering. I've been put through hell the past couple of weeks. Just ask Lola. Lola has watched me walking up and down this room, sobbing. Sobbing my heart out. You know what they say, life can change in the blink of an eye, don't they? 1 minute winning a prestigious award for being a pillar of the community, and the next having a security monitor attached to your ankle. Sorry. I'm all over the place. Can you just give me 5, please?
No problem.
Derek Sloan was born in 1974 in Belfast to Deirdre Sloan. An enthusiastic and avid learner, Derek excelled at school and had a diary full of hobbies and activities. Derek did face numerous challenges during his teenage years. Derek came out as gay to his family when he was just 16 years old. Due to conservative attitudes, Derek left his home for a new life in Brighton in South England, where he worked in a local gay bar called the Pink Radishes. However, Derek's mental health declined rapidly due to substance and alcohol abuse, and Derek returned to Northern Ireland in 2002 with little money. His mum looked after him in a 1-bedroom flat on Eglantine Avenue, where he very slowly regained his joie de vivre. Since then, Derek has worked in various jobs, and was working at the local Tesco right up to last March when the pandemic hit our shores.
Where do you want me to go from? The start? And that's why I'm here today, Beth?
No, we can go to the next bit.
Which is?
Last March, the pandemic.
Right, okay. March, is it? Seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? I was a different person then. Completely different.
Just go from the pandemic.
Right. So, the pandemic happened in March of last year. I got off work and was heading into town to get me outfit for Paddy's Day when I heard a woman on the bus saying that all festivities were going to be cancelled. I was gutted, to say the least. And then a few days later, I got called into work by the supervisor, Breed, I think it was, and she told me that I needed to work double shifts for the foreseeable future. I said, you must be joking. There's no way I'm dealing with the public and they're shopping for the apocalypse. She was adamant, as was I, so I ended up walking out. So I sat in my flat for days and watched the news and listened to all the praise for the frontline workers, and I suddenly felt a stirring in my heart. I've talked about this before. Do you want me to talk about it again? Honestly, it hit home. Here was all these people doing what they do to save the world, and I was so inspired. I've talked about this a lot in other interviews, but that night, I had a vision in the bedroom where I saw myself as a worker on the front line. Honestly, there was a figure all dressed in blue and holding a sword. I felt so humble. The next day, I applied for a job at the hospitals for anything I could do. One hospital did give me an interview, but later declined when they found out I didn't have any of the qualifications. Same with the police and the delivery drivers and the garden centre workers. I did try and work at a local soup kitchen for a while, but I'm allergic to celeriac, which they kept putting in all their soups. Anyway, that evening, I was doing the dishes in the kitchen, popped in the fairy liquid in the hot water as you do, and I was scrubbing one of the plates when, honest to God, a bubble from the suds suddenly floated up into the air and landed on the tip of my nose. It stayed there for over 5 minutes, shining all these lovely colours of blues and reds and golds. And that's when I knew. That was the sign. Bubbles. Now, I know this seems like a complete fantasy, but it is absolutely true. Later on, as I walked through the streets, I suddenly became aware of people and their bubbles, like auras. I could actually see their bubbles. I could see who shared bubbles between them. The colour was like a soft coating around them, almost like a protector or a seal. I could also see when different bubbles collided with each other and how they broke through and became a new bubble. Unfortunately, that's when I also saw new infections being shared because the bubble seals didn't have the capacity to fight the virus. Once the seal was broken, then there was no stopping it. I got home and I looked at myself in the mirror, and there it was in front of me eyes. My very own bubble. I was given a very precious gift, and with such a gift comes great responsibility. I needed to protect people. I needed to make sure that they all stayed inside their own bubbles. And it felt magnificent. Now, I said I wouldn't cry again. Such a mess. I don't need to stop. Oh, can I get a new tea?
Just continue if you can, please.
Do you not need the tea for continuity, though? Can she get it? I had a purpose in life. I had meaning. This gift I was given by, well, I don't know who gave it to me, that's besides the point, but it was there. All the bubbles. And for the next 6 months, I was going to play... Sorry, could you just keep it down there, please? Doing a take. And for the next 6 months, I was going to play my very big part in this pandemic with my bubble vision.
Can you see my bubble now?
No,
Why not?
I can't. It's gone. Because I've been abused by the system and branded a criminal. It's left me. It's gone. The power is gone.
I'm sorry.
Hopefully it'll come back when I'm cleared of the allegations, which is why we're doing this report.
Yeah. It'll come back. I'm sure.
I sensed a tone there. Subtle, but there.
Sorry, no, I don't...
You don't believe me. No, you don't. Nobody does. You all think I'm some nutter who was just looking for a moment in the spotlight, or that I'm jealous of the doctors and the garden centre workers, because that's what they wrote about me in the papers. Rolled my name right through the mud. No wonder the bubble gift pissed off. But do we remember all the good things that I achieved in the pandemic? All my sacrifices to the world? Do we remember this? Do we?
I'd like to report a house party. Yes, very loud. I'd like to report an event at number 24 Chadwick. 5 people, different households, no mad music. I'd like to report a children's party at number 92. Tom was at it again, my friend. Derek Bubble. Tom was at it again. Derek Bubble. I'd like to report a children's party at number 22. Tom was at it again, my friend. Yeah, I'm aware people are doing this. I'd like to report a house party. House party. House party. House party. House party. House party. House party.
You can't burst a bubble from the inside. You can't burst a bubble from the inside. You can't burst a bubble. You can't burst a bubble. You can't burst a bubble from the inside. You can't burst a bubble from the inside. You can't burst a bubble. You can't burst a bubble.
This morning, Derek Sloan received the Honorary Key of Belfast City for his role as a frontline worker during the corona pandemic. Derek, known to the police as Derek Bubble, has since the beginning of the pandemic stopped over 600 illegal parties and garden events. Derek was also recently celebrated for his efforts by the World Health Organization.
I see you. I see your bubble. Let it be known that if you decide to break your bubble or share your bubble with others, I will be there to burst your bubble. And I will burst your bubble. Thank you.
Oh, here are the virtual parties that week. My computer was literally melting with all the Zooms. My face was all over Twitter. Everyone knew me. Strangers congratulated me for my services to the community. I was in the local news, on local podcasts, articles in the paper. People even clapped for me on the street. Obviously, yes, there were the occasional death threats and violence from those who had been caught, but even they made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside because I felt important. I felt powerful. I felt like I had a purpose. People knew who I was. Derek Sloan. Derek Sloan, the Bubble Queen. Most people were happy for my success, but there were others who weren't, and they started to make their appearances. Started to whisper all this gossip to the press. You know, the usual. But that's the price in doing my job, in saving humanity. I had the hearts of the public in my hands, and there were some people who were going to do all that they could to poison those good hearts.
Can we play the news dated 28th of November?
The night it all came crashing down.
Let's play the news.
Oh, God.
Are you okay?
Here's your tea.
I don't want tea. Just play the thing for God's sake.
Last week, Derek Sloan received the prestigious key to Belfast City, but last night was remanded in custody due to allegations of performing a lewd act in Omo Park. Police officers were tipped by an anonymous caller to attend the scene at 8 p.m. last night, where they found Mr. Sloan in a compromising position. Mr. Sloan faces a 6-month prison sentence with a possible fine. Has Mr. Sloan's bubble finally burst?
The things they wrote about me in the papers gave me the shits. They went through my past with a fine-tooth comb looking for nits, and God, they found what they were looking for, didn't they? People fairly came out of the woodwork then, didn't they? Ready and willing to join the chorus of hatred thrown against me. All my exes lined up with their ammunition ready to shoot at their target. I mean, Benny, who I might add I only had a latte date with back in 1998, sold his story to some online site saying I forced him to have a threesome with my best friend at the back of a bingo hall. I mean, none of it is true. None of it. Let's just say nobody likes to see somebody successful. Not in this place. And they all gathered around like vultures to see me fall. I did fall, didn't I? I was released later on that Thursday to a mob booing and hissing and calling me a hypocrite. Even my ma was in the crowd, and that truly broke me. I got home to find eggs thrown at my window and lots of graffiti saying things like, "Derek's only gone and blown it, hasn't he?" From a living saint to an outcast in a matter of a few hours.
So, set the story straight. I mean, this is your chance.
I was framed. I was framed by a very jealous ex-boyfriend of mine who I cannot name for legal reasons. We were together a few years ago. It was serious between us, very serious. I was in love. I thought he was in love with me, but he wasn't. He was in love with the idea of being in love. His expectations of me were through the roof. If I didn't give him my last Rolo or think about him 24 hours of the day, he would lose his shit. That kind of man. Anyway, he broke up with this ideal of love and left me alone to wither away into the corners of gay bars. He broke my heart. I had learned to live with it, as we all do. Numb, insecure, feeling ugly all the time, but at least my new life had given me a new sense of direction. I hadn't heard from him in yonks until just after I was on the telly at the awards ceremony, he got in touch. First by text, then Messenger, then me Instagram, and finally, now, I have made it absolutely known that I still have the Grindr app on my phone. I still like the occasional swipe just to see who's in the town, but under no circumstances was I ever going to go and meet someone, not with the whole bubble situation. I mean, why would I, the keeper of the bubbles, just break the rules like that? I am innocent. I was framed. He kept messaging me, begging me to meet him for a chat, that he had something that he needed to tell me and to show me. He said that it would just take 5 minutes and then he would be gone and that he would never contact me again. He kept throwing the love lines at me, and you have to remember I was still in love with him. I was the dumped. Remember that? So eventually I said yes. I agreed to meet him in Ormeau Park. I got there about 7:45 and he was there and we chatted for a bit. And you know what? I was delighted to have met him because it gave me closure. Do you know what I mean? So we said our goodbyes and we started to walk out of the park, and then... Now, I have made it very clear to everyone that my eyesight is not the best. So I needed to hold on to him as we made our way through the trees and the bushes. I couldn't see a thing. He then shone a light from his phone into my eyes, causing me to fall and land on my knees. He then completely whipped his trousers and pants down in front of me, and before I knew it, I was handcuffed and lying on the grass with the policeman on my neck. Cottage. Cruising. They had the photos. He set the whole thing up. He phoned the police. He organised the whole lot. Of course, he got paid a lump sum of money from the newspapers when he sold his story. All his whinging about me and my dirty antics in parks and bushes and toilets with lots and lots of men. None of it is true. Well, not completely true. There were a few occasions in the past, but not in the pandemic. That's just not true.
But you did break some rules, didn't you? According to the investigation.
Don't talk to me about the rules. I've kept track of every rule going. Bubbles of 4, bubbles of 6, garden bubbles, family bubbles, class bubbles, sitting and eating out to help out bubbles. I know them all like the back of my hand. Yes, I went to meet him. Legal. Yes, I went into the park. Legal. Yes, I had to hold on to him because I didn't have my glasses. Technically a care bubble, so legal. Yes, I was on my knees because I could not see. Yes, those pictures online and in the papers do not look good, but it's the truth. I was framed by an angry, jealous, bitter ex who didn't like the attention I was getting in the media. We all need love in lockdown. I miss it too. I have called the police on many a booty call over the past few months, and because of this, Derek Bubble has saved many a life. I am an innocent gay man, trying to save the world from the coronavirus, and the only one that believes me around here is Lola.
Do you think she could give evidence?
Don't be ridiculous, she's a dog.
Of course. So, what do you want to say to the public? To make things right? Set the story straight? Say it into the camera.
Please, believe me. I know how it looks, but remember, you needed me back then. And now I need you. You've got my bubble in your hands. Please, don't burst it.
So close but so far.